Go ahead, start pulling. Oh, yep, there's lots of spark. There's lots of spark.
Oh, hey, Ollie. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, guys. So today, we have this. It's an old Craftsman with an Eager-1 Tecumseh engine.
What model, Craftsman? Good question. But I think it has something to do with this.
And as for what model engine, hopefully I can find out with the serial number that's stamped on it. Because otherwise, as far as I know, this is just another Tecumseh 4.5 horsepower L-head engine. I mean, it's a Tecumseh. How hard can it be? I've already fixed many of these. Now, the issue isn't so much that there's a problem with the carburetor and it won't start. Oh no, this one's more sinister. My curiosity is how it happened. So if we tried to start it, not going to, there's a really good possibility that this will just yank the cord right out of your hand, but it won't start. My son, he was just recently attempting to start it. We even added some fuel to it. I had a post a little while ago while I was working on this tiller as I was attempting to diagnose it. And what I found, most likely, if you remember from this video up here, that lawn boy with the blown engine, I tried to save the flywheel key. And that was for this tiller. So instead, I bought a bunch more. Well, since that flywheel key was busted, picked up a bunch more. And here you go. And that's the Oregon part number. So my goal, at least in this video, is to get the flywheel off and get this engine running at least. I'm not sure about the tine engagement because my question is, maybe there's something wrong with this transmission. And when they tried to engage it, it tried to lock up the engine and spun the flywheel a bit, shearing the key. And if that's the case, then we're gonna have to crack into that transmission and find out what's going on. As for the overall rest of it, well, if I do repaint it, that's definitely going to have to be in its own separate video entirely. Because this little tiller needs a fair bit of work. But overall, it's not too bad. At least it has a good proper spark plug. Champion RJ19LM. Muffler looks a little rusty. Typical Tecumseh carburetor. However, primer bulb's not here. It's actually here, on top of the engine. As for the air filter, it's a wee bit of a disaster. It's really bad, and it was pretty stuck inside its housing, which leads me to believe that this probably hasn't been changed in a very long time. So this one is junk. So I guess without further ado, we should get this housing and shroud off, as well as the gas tank. But there's some anomalies that I've noticed. For one, here again we have some Robertson screws. Looks like we've got another handyman special. Plus, when I was showing the serial number, I'm sure you also noticed, look, the 2 5/16 are missing. The fuel line? I'm surprised it's not pouring fuel all over the place. And the transmission, like, look at it, it's just wrapped up in junk. I wonder if it's ever been checked, the fluid. We'll have to inspect it and see if there is even any fluid in there. As for the oil, yeah, there's oil in there. It's not too dark, but it's definitely due for service. All right, guys, let's get started and crack into this. Okay, so the first thing we should do is get these Robertson screws out. I mean, I guess fair enough, they are sheet metal screws, but come on now. These don't belong in this lawnmower. So now the gas tank should just lift up. I gotta take this off first, showing that the oil is definitely overfilled. Double check that one more time. Yes, it's overfilled, but we'll give it an oil change anyway. Then it won't be overfilled. So this should just lift up and away. Just like that. Okay, now the fuel tank, this hose is really bad. It's actually stretching. This is crazy. Look at this. The hose is just ready to just come right apart. So I'm gonna leave the fuel tank. Not quite sure how. This is a weird scenario. How exactly am I gonna? I guess I'll just. Oh, don't leak. Come on now, don't leak. Spark plug off. Don't leak. Oh, she's leaking. Peeing everywhere. Okay. Right. Okay. I think it's good now. So the two 5/16 are already missing. Then I have two 3/8 back here. Quickly zip those off. And should be a 5/16 holding on. Yeah, I think that's 5/16. No, a little bit bigger than 5/16. There should be 5/16. Yep, it's 5/16. That's nice oil cap. Come on out. I just don't feel like finding the 5/16. I could just fast forward you guys through this, or cut it, or I could just sit here and let it play out in real time, just drag on the video. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fast forward it. I'm just going to play the audio in the background at regular speed. I'll find the socket to put it back together, but yep, 5/16 off. Now this should just lift away. Something's holding it. What was that? Oh, the oil tube fell out. Nice. There we go. All right, let's get that off. I think that's 5/8. Nope, not 5/8. 3/4. 3/4 it is. Zip this off. Hopefully it comes off easy enough. I'll just set it to maximum, take it off. I don't think so. I think it's fine. All right, so let's do the obvious stuff now then. Let's get the spark plug off and let's adjust the gap. And of course, let's put this back on. Let's adjust the gap and it looks like 5/16. All right, so let's get this off. 5/16. We're just gonna loosen it up. I can pull it back and I'll get a business card. Okay, now put the business card in. We'll hold this around. Knock the oil tube out. Make a mess. Ay. Definitely overfilled with oil. And then again. Don't do that again. There we go. Set the gap that way. Now we tighten it down. Perfect. That's it. Now let's put this silly contraption back together, but I got to do something about that fuel line. And good thing I got some fuel line right here. Okay, let's get this clamp off. And then this decaying hose. There, now I can just remove the tank entirely. Okay, well, I ended up getting a phone call and that knocked out the one phone for recording. So I lost the camera and I thought, well, it's getting a little bit late. So I decided, okay, I'm going to put everything back together other than the fuel tank because that thing was a disaster and pick up where we left off. Now I put this back in and I've drained it completely of oil because I'm tired of making a BP mess. And because there's oil and grease all over it, you know what? I'm gonna wash this thing off and then we're gonna start to crack into it more and check out the spark plug. So first, let's give it a little bit of a washing. But first, before the washing, it's story time. Why is it story time? Because neat story about this washer. My wife and I, we were on our way home and sure enough, we saw this by the side of the road. I stopped and the gentleman that previously owned it with his wife were sitting out on their front porch. This washer, I asked him, did it work? He says, yes, but it loses pressure all the time. And I kind of took it more as speak for, hey, I've already got a better washer. I don't need this. Please take it. And I need to justify it to my wife why I'm getting rid of this one and bought the much bigger and more powerful one. So I figure, hey, I'll happily oblige. I've brought it home and let's see if it works. Hey, look at that, guys. Look what I found. A red subscribe button. If you made it this far into the video, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up. Comment below. I love to read your comments and I try to reply to as many of them as I can, especially the early ones. All right, guys, Back to the video. I'm going to spray a little bit of degreaser on it just down here. I'm not going to really worry too much about the paint because, well, I'm sure you can see the shape it's in. I'm going to move that gun before I turn on the pressure washer. Let's see, was he telling the truth or was he lying? Seems like it works pretty good for me. That seems really caked on. You know what? This free pressure washer seems to have worked out fantastic because it works fantastic. And I mean, I just broke that Sunjo, which was such a shame because it worked out really nice. It was a nice little unit, except it was kind of a silly design the way they had it. And the part that broke is, of course, not serviceable. So where does it go? In the trash. But it wasn't a battery operated unit. And I did see a scrap collector pick it up. So there's it. That is a good thing. But this unit, this Karcher, I don't know. I was just blasting away with it and it didn't drop pressure once. It seems to be perfect, which kind of solidifies my theory that he had already bought a much more powerful unit and wanted to justify to his wife why he got rid of this and why he needed a much more powerful unit. So whoever you are, sir, I applaud you and I thank you because I will give it a good home and I will use it as often as I can to clean these crazy units. And of course, maybe some of the things around the house that need a little bit of pressure washing. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Now to keep it away from that air intake because it doesn't even have a filter on it, so I can't spray into it at all. I have to spray completely away from it towards the Duke. All right, let's give it a blast. So yeah, I'm gonna let this dry for about an hour, turn off the cameras, and then come back, get that spark plug out, and let's find out what is going on with this. And of course, add some oil, the proper amount. And since I don't think I'm going to be pulling that shroud off, we'll get it back together and get it all going properly, and maybe this thing will run. And I am gonna give that carburetor a run through in the ultrasonic because I mean, why not? It's already halfway there. All right, guys, see you soon. All right, so let's inspect this spark plug. 13/16. There we go. Not. I'm not just my neighbors. I'm not quite sure why it's not running. Spark plug looks actually pretty good. I wonder. I wonder if it's just maybe the gap. Well, let's throw some oil in here. I believe these take about... Hey Vic, how you doing? Good, how are you? Not too bad. Let's throw some oil in this. These engines, this Tecumseh engine takes about 600 mil of oil. So why not? It should run. I don't know why it's not as of yet. I'm not sure, but hopefully resetting the spark gap has fixed that issue. So why not? Let's see what happens. So unfortunately, the other measuring cup got cracked. I'm not quite sure how. So this engine takes 600 mil or this many in Freedom units in the USA. Meanwhile, the rest of the world takes 600 mil. So I'm going to have to fill it up to 500, pour that in, and add another 100. It should be fine. We can do it. I'm sure that it's not too too bad to do this kind of math. Okay, so 500 first. There we go, there's 500. Let's go pour that in the engine. And we all know I have this terrible phobia of funnels. There's just something about them. They're super scary. It's almost as if they're made to prevent me from easily making a mess. Oh, goodness. You know, just kind of like that. Look, this is almost like a funnel. This thing is almost scary to me. It should be much smaller so I have a much higher chance of making a mess. But no, it's almost like it's wide enough that you could fit a whole bottle of oil, the cap, right in. I wonder if that's true. Now the last 100 milliliters, or this many in freedom units. Did I go over? Nope. Right on the money. Go pour that in. First, we're going to check the level. Let's check the level of oil. Right, so let's check the oil. Well, I mean, it's sort of there. It's hard to really say. Let's try it again. I guess it's kind of in between. So we'll add a bit more oil and then we'll check it again. But we'll stop there. I almost felt like I was about to make a mess. So we'll let it settle. Take this out, clean it off. Now put it in. A nice clean spot on the rag, and we'll check it. Yeah, that's full. Perfect. Okay, well, it's starting to get a bit dark, and I want to just try to turn this over quickly. So I've got a couple 5/16 bolts for the front here to hold this in place. I'm just going to try to start it on carb spray. And then we'll continue in the morning. Now the 3/8 in the back. Okay, we put the 3/8 in the back and the front. Perfect. And yes, we'll put the spark plug on. We'll give it a try. Spray some carb spray in there. There we go. Good carb spray. Everyone can see for the most part. Move this camera back so we can get a better view of the whole craziness. I guess let's give it a try. Interesting. Very interesting. Let me give it a bit more carb spray. Could it have been something as stupidly simple as the coil was just out of alignment? Could it really have been that stupidly simple? That's kind of amazing if it was. Like, honestly. Try it again. Let's see if I can keep it running off carb spray for a second or two. I think we may have a runner, guys. I think we may have a runner. And I think all it was the coil was a little bit of alignment. All right, let me pack this up for now, and we'll get back to it in the morning. All right, see you in the morning, guys. All right, guys, so it's the next day, and we know that it's a runner. So I wanted to get the gas tank on, but I need to change that fuel line. And to change that fuel line, I had to take the shroud off, and I have to take the carburetor off. So I figure if I have to take the carburetor off, then I might as well go through it. So this ends up being another Tecumseh carburetor cleaning video. Isn't that thrilling, guys? All right, so let's get this carburetor off. I've already taken the shroud off. I don't think you need to see that yet again. All right, so let's get that carburetor off. And to do that, you need a big Phillips. So let's get this off. I wonder, I might be able to actually get a 3/8 on this one. Let's try that. I hope this works. Please work. Oh, that was good. I'm so glad that worked. Please work for the bottom one. Yeah, no. Not gonna work for the bottom one. At least work for one. Right, bottom one. Big Phillips. Let's go. That's not too tight. What was I worried about? Why didn't I just use it for both of them? Jeez, let's make the machines do the work. One of these days they're gonna rise up against us. We're gonna blame AI, but no, it's gonna be our fault because we didn't treat them equally, the machines. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. They don't feel anything. They just don't care. They'll just take us all out. They're uncaring, unfeeling. What is it that Sarah Connor said? Something like this?
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop. Ever.
Yeah, something like that. All right. Oh, that was a little sticky. Well, I guess that means that it's still sealing. I'm going to take this one out. You see that spring? And this governor arm? I don't know. Do you see it on camera? Nope, you don't see it all that well. I'm going to move this back a little bit so you can see it better. And I think you can see that better now. All right, so we're going to take this one out. That comes off. Excuse me, magnet. And then the next one, this is for the speed control, for the high speed. We're going to take this off. We are going to take it off somehow. Are we going to take it off down at the carby? No, we're not. It's not as easy at the curb. Okay, I'm gonna get some needle nose. Okay, long needle nose, let's get in there. There we go. Needle nose to the rescue. Yay for the needle nose. All right, the primer line. That should sneak around the back here. There it is, see it right there? Needle nose pliers again. Oh, the magnet. Why? That is trying to sabotage me. That's not nice, magnet. The primer line's kind of toast, so I'll have to cut that end off. That's okay. Oh, that is not bladed on there, but it's bladed on here. Okay, so 1 second. I'm gonna let that dangle for a second. Okay, now over here. No, over here. Camera 3. Camera 3. Yes. Hi, camera 3. Okay, I'm just gonna take this guy off. Oh, and if I let it go, it would fall down. There we go. Carburetor's free. Okay, so carburetor is now free of the engine. Yay, the engine is now carb free. That might be an interesting thing to try one of these days. Let's stick a fuel injector on one of these things. See if we can make it fuel injected. Then I need a constant electrical supply, which means the engine would need an alternator and a regulator and a battery. That'd be kind of interesting. Maybe one of those key start lawnmowers, since they have a battery on it, and I believe, oh, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't have an onboard charging system. Be cool if we could put one on. Maybe future ideas. All right, so let's crack into this carburetor, I guess. Just so you see, so I don't forget too. And you don't forget to remind me. I cut off that little bit of hose. Wonder if I've got some hose like this small to use as the primer breather line. Or maybe that'll still work. It might be long enough. Anyway, okay, so this one looks a little bit different from the usual ones, but not too different. Still got the usual 3/8. But on this side, it looks like we have a locking collar. That's interesting. Poof. And of course, I forgot there might be some fuel still in there. So let's drain that out with a 1/2-inch wrench. A 1/2-inch wrench. Really? There we go. Ooh, I see jellies coming out. Maybe this wouldn't have run. Gross. Good thing we're taking it apart then. Oof. Oh, look at that. Look at those jellies. Yeah, this never would have run. Definitely good thing we're taking it apart. Right, let's get this line off. Grab my hose clamp tool, because it's a hose clamp and I have the tool. This should just come off. The hose isn't petrified, it's just destroyed. Oh, it's not going to come off. Of course not. Pliers it is. There we go. That's the way to get it off. You just rip it off. Destroy it. It's the easiest way. Take off the gasket. Seems pretty good. I don't want it to get destroyed. Put it in the clean bin. Oh, I put the dirty hose in the clean bin. That's okay. That'll be a clean bin after. Just basically all the parts I take off are going to go in there. So they don't get... I guess they're already contaminated. I have my reasons. Right. This doesn't want to come out now. Why don't you want to come out? You can come out. It's okay. It's safe. Tin looks good, but I haven't seen one that didn't. Well, I have seen actually a few that didn't. They were rusty, and I had to beat them out, and then I had to file them down a little bit with some Scotch-Brite. But this one looks good. And of course, yes, the magnet. The bowl, you can see there's a film in the bottom. Yuck. Well, explains why. Well, it doesn't explain why it didn't run. It didn't run because of the spark, but this wouldn't have run. That's okay, it'll be clean. Where'd the needle go? It came off. The needle came off. That wasn't nice. So there's the needle. And there's the brass float. Not full of anything, so that's a good sign. Means it's not perforated. So still usable. Has a brass emulsion tube, so that's not going to come out. That stays in. We don't even look at it. Okay, so the governor arm. Well, governor arm linkage. Go over there. 5/16. Let me pull those two off to take this cover off. I'm going to pull you off, I think. Somehow. Maybe. I know I could apply a little bit of heat. Make it a little oh, there it goes. Make it a little malleable. Would have been easier, but that's okay. All right, so 5/16 pulls those off. There's one. That one wasn't tight compared to the other, as it got scared. Okay, and two more 5/16 takes this off. There we go. And now this comes off. And look, it looks like a regular Tecumseh carb, except for this guy, which is fine. Oh, and that. Well, I guess it is a regular Tecumseh carb. There's nothing special. And it says Craftsman on it. I know this is a Craftsman tiller, because I mean, even the carb says Craftsman. But it's that weird Craftsman blue from like the 70s and 80s. So I'm going to pull that off. That's 3/8. 3/8. 3/8. 3/8. Damn it! Okay, so 7/16. Oh, look, it is the right one. Oh, and it's just spinning. Can I hold it with my finger? Probably not. No, I can't. Can I wedge it with the screwdriver? No, I can't. Okay, so I have an 11 mil. That should work. See? It'll work. Let's see if I can keep it on. There we go, that worked. That was weird. Oh. Someone put Loctite on. You don't need Loctite on here. There's no need for Loctite. See? It has a lock washer. See? This is going to be interesting. How's this going to work? I'm not sure where I put my wobbly socket. Okay, so that's a part. Curses to the person who put Loctite on there. Like, really? You don't need Loctite. Why don't you need Loctite? Because look at that. They have aggressively biting washers. They will not come off through vibration. It will not come apart. You do not need Loctite. Here's the carburetor. This should come out pretty clean. And the throttle control. Not the biggest fan of that kill wire. Oh, it's a spade. I think I'm going to solder this up. Make it look a lot, well, have more than like 2 strands of wire connecting. Yes, I know that's all you need, but I'd rather have a more robust connection than that, because that's how you end up with spark failure, or it won't kill anymore. I'd rather have it properly done. Anyway, let's get this in the ultrasonic. Oh, right, there's a main jet. Is it dirty? Probably. That little jet's clear, the only jet, but it's kind of gunky. So I'm gonna get this all cleaned up in the ultrasonic. Okay, so we're back. I've got the clean carb. I've already reattached it to the air intake. Didn't need to see me struggle with that. I've got a new air filter ready to go. Cool, look at the glue they used. It's coming through pink. That's funny. But yeah, new air filter. Bowl came out pretty nice. All right. Air filter, part number. Using the Tecumseh tool, this here. Changed out the needle seat part number. Let's get that put in. There's the float, there's the pin, there's the needle. There, the needle's now on the float. Just actually hangs right off there. And then the pin, you just slip on through these little dog ears here. Okay, I'm gonna have to go from the other side because of the air intake adapter. There we go. Float's actually parallel with the carburetor. Now this little indentation, it actually, on the newer floats, you'll see a little nipple that sticks up from here, and you can line it up, and that helps you line up the bowl with the carb. With this one, it's not going to be that easy. At first, I'm going to quickly rod that out, which is the main jet, just to make sure it's clear. Yep, I just pulled some crap out of it. These are just torch tip cleaners. You can get them off Amazon, get them off eBay. Right, I'm going to go with a slightly bigger torch tip cleaner. One that just fits inside it. Nope, not that one. Let's go a little bit smaller. See all that came out from the main jet. Let me get the carb spray and give that a spray out. All right, let's get the bowl on. And the bowl nut also has its main jet right here. Make sure that's clean and clear. Let's give it a spray out. Then put the gasket on. And we thread it in by hand. Then 1/2 inch. And we tighten it down. There we go, nice and snug. Air filter. Now we're going to get the fuel tank and fuel line on here. This is going to be fun, but we'll do that over at the engine. Well, first we'll rebuild this part. So how did this go? Oh right, the wire. This part here, it had broken off and I couldn't resolder it back on. So I said, forget it. I took the wire that I had cut the end off, that Tecumseh engine, this one up here, and just spliced it in, heat shrunk it, and wrapped it with electrical tape. So this is the new kill wire. This part here actually sits right here. I just have to keep it away from this. It can't make contact or it'll kill the engine. You won't get any spark at all. That would be bad. There we go. Now seeing the witness marks, I know that these 5/16 have the lock washers built into them. Them in by hand. Oops. It's like a tornado goes through here when I'm working on it. No need to go too tight. Make sure that's not touching anything. Right here, it can't be touching. That metal cannot be touching. I'm just gonna try twisting it a little with a pry driver. Just to give it a bit of clearance. There, actually, that's pretty good. It shouldn't touch. Next is this cover and these two 5/16. That's not in straight. I'll fix it. That one's in straight. This one identifies as straight. And it's on an angle. There we go. It's straight now. Right. And of course, the next part was this actually hooks in. Right. So this hooks on here because this controls the tension on the governor for the speed. So when this is open all the way, it pulls on the governor arm, which opens the throttle more, of course, giving it more air, more fuel. So it just runs at a higher RPM. So we'll make sure it's around 3,200 RPM while it's operating, which is what these engines usually operate around for a Tecumseh. Anywhere between 3,000 and 3,200 should be good. And while it's idling, I think we're going to idle it around 2,100. I think that'll be around the right spot. I guess between 19 and 2,100. So we'll get the identifying mark on, set to high, set to low, set to stop. Perfect. Now this little governor arm, or governor arm linkage, it actually goes in here on this hole way back there. Right here. That hole right there. And that's it. All right, let's get this back on the engine. Okay, so I just got to pull this shroud back off. Okay, that engine shroud is off. Now let's get this carburetor reattached. It's actually pretty simple to do. First, we're going to get the spring onto the lower one. So hook the spring in and feed it up and over and into the hole. Easier said than done. of course. There we go, that's in. Now I'm just gonna hook that again right into here. Just like that. And I lost one of the screws, that's okay. And then this arm hooks into the top, just like that. Oh, this should actually go in behind. So it passes underneath, behind, and in, just like this. Which is pretty typical for Tecumseh carbs. Now we got to get the fuel line on. But I want to get this carb mounted before I put the fuel line on. Although I can't really do that because it'll be too much of a pain. So because of that, let's get the fuel line on this carb. We'll deal with the rest after. We got a new fuel line on. And just going to feed it on. Let it dangle for a minute. Fuel line clamp wrench. Up and on. We release it. And there we go. That's it. Done. Perfect. That tool makes it easy. And yes, I drained all the fuel out, which looked actually pretty good. All right, so we use our big flat so we can now mount the carburetor up to the engine. Woohoo! We're almost there, guys. Let's not jinx it though. First one, second one. Nice and tight, that one there. Nice and tight, that one there. All right, so we put the kill wire on the coil. Good. Tuck this in. I'll try to make it look relatively neat. That way it doesn't get caught on here, doesn't stick out, doesn't get caught on the exhaust and burn a hole. Now we'll get the cover back on, but first I gotta feed this primer line down onto that carburetor. I knew I was forgetting something. Always forgetting something. This would have been easier if it wasn't on the if it wasn't already mounted to the engine. I don't really want to unmount it, but if I have to, then I'll just skip the unmounting part. Okay, got it. That was a whole lot of fun. Not really. There goes the oil tube. Gotta get it back on. There. And again. Okay, let's get this thing all back attached before I make another BP oil spill. So 5/16, let's get this oil tube attached to the shroud. And then the two at the front. Okay, and I guess last but not least, oh, maybe not quite yet. Let's get the cover on this air filter. Now we get the fuel tank on. Take out the oil tube, back in, well, at least a dipstick anyway. Sheet metal screws back in, because I'm out of any other screws that'll go in. And I guess they work. Are they the right ones for this job? No. Do they work? I guess so. I guess the phrase is, it's not stupid if it works. Okay. Now the question is, we know it'll start, but will it run off its own fuel? Let's see. So the fuel, well, it doesn't seem to have any issues. It doesn't seem to have any water in it, so I don't see why it won't burn. So I'm gonna pour it back in, but I'm gonna filter it through a paint screen. And, well, let's see how it'll run this engine. It smells like gasoline. I know this isn't a perfect funnel, not even the most ideal funnel, just what I have at the moment. There, it's even got a filter screen. I'm not going to pour that last little bit because, yeah, there's a whole bunch of dirt in it. There, I'm going to wipe that up. Oh no, look, because of my fear of funnels, I got a bit of a mess. Oh no. Oh look, and besides gasoline, it'll evaporate really quick too. Okay, we put the cap on. I'm gonna move the cameras away, move this back, and we're gonna give it a try. All right, let's give it a few primes. I think 10's good. Set it to high. He's running! He's running! Let's see, does it engage? Oh, look at that! He eats up the ground too! That's awesome! That is freaking awesome! Oh, that is so good. That's fantastic. Huh. Right. So let's set the RPM. Well, that's a little unfortunate. I can't find my tachometer right now, but the low speed sounds a little high. So I'm gonna set the low speed. The high speed, I don't mind the sound of, but the low speed sounds a little high. So I'm gonna start it up again. Oh, you're right, I gotta turn it on. Let's turn it on. That actually sounds pretty good. Let's see. High speed seems a little high. I'm going to back out the high speed a little bit. There. Let's start it up again. I think I have my tachometer, make it a bit easier, but that's okay. Let's set it high speed again. Well, it sounds pretty good. Sounds really good. I wonder how it will be at tilling some soil. So, I guess I'm going to take it to the back and let's see how it tills some soil. All right. See you in a minute. All right. Well, we're in a good spot that we can try it and try some tilling in this ground and pull up some of this plastic bag, but that's okay. We can pull that back off. Not a big deal. I don't understand it. It's plastic was supposed to be used to prevent the weeds from growing through, but we're trying to get rid of plastic bags, and here they are selling it as weed prevention fabric to put down on your ground. Cool. So don't use it to carry your groceries down, use it to bury in the ground. Nice. All right, anyway, let's get this thing started. I'll give it a few primes to make sure It gives it the best opportune time to start. And it won't start for me. Of course it won't start. All right, let's get the spark tester. We could have flooded it. That's always possible. Yeah, it's pretty wet. Smells like gasoline. So I'll just try, I'll try another plug. Let's pull it over a couple times and see if it sparks. So this plug, I'm gonna hold it against this machine, and I'll get my assistant to pull it over a couple times. Go ahead, try it. I'm not seeing spark. Go ahead, start pulling it. Oh, yep, there's lots of spark. There's lots of spark. Whoops. Okay. Well, that answers that question pretty goddamn good in a hurry. Ooh, baby, there's lots of spark. Maybe we just flooded it out. All right, let's not do that again. That felt good. That woke me up. Oh yeah, that was awesome. Musty, you're gonna be proud. I took it for the team. Let's try it with a dry plug. There we go, guys. Look at that. It starts and it runs and it tills. That is fantastic news. I have a lot of work to do with this little thing, but looks like I managed to save yet another Tecumseh engine. So, all right, guys. See you in the next one. So look at that, eh? This little Tecumseh. How about that? A little bit of a pain to start. Not so eager. Not like that Craftsman. This one, up here. That one, this Craftsman, was really eager to start. This, not so eager. But, other than that, runs pretty good. Got a fair amount of power for such a little unit. And we have the big plow unit for the back of it. Anyway, guys, that's it for now, and spark plug off for safety. Bye, guys.